Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for Spirit, the stimulating program initiative for retirees that inspires thought. I'm Judy Steinig, Director of Community Programs for the Orthodox Union, and it's my honor to coordinate and host this program. Spirit started a number of years ago, first as an on-site program, and now we're happy to present it as an online program for baby boomers, retirees, not yet retirees, empty nesters, sandwich generation parents, and seniors, everybody who's looking for educational, intellectual, and spiritual growth. Now, during the pandemic, Spirit is the perfect way for all of us who are sheltering in to be connected virtually. Today, we are so happy to welcome Mrs. Susan Mattel, RN, who's the Corporate Director of Daycare Services for Bainbridge Adult Health Center. Mrs. Mattel will speak to us today about safety with aging and with strategies to ensure the safety for ourselves and for our loved ones. Please note this is part 2 of a 2-part program. The earlier program, which was several weeks ago, can be found in the Spirit archives that everyone has access to in the emails that I send you. Just you go on the link, you put your name and your email in, and you have access to all of our former programs. It is my honor now to turn the Spirit Forum over to Mrs. Mattel.
Thank you very much, Judy. Okay, in part 1, we discussed general issues regarding safe aging, including needed paperwork, immunizations, falls, and a little bit of a tour of a house and how to make a house safety. Today, we're going to discuss driving and the implications of aging, outdoor safety, and very practical aspects of COVID as it relates to the aging population. Okay, we're going to start with driving. One of the most important decisions for safety with the elderly is when to contemplate to reduce driving or to stop driving totally. One has to realize that driving is both a convenience, but it is also our freedom and our independence. Taking away driving for many, many people means limiting them tremendously. So one should realize that age should not be the sole criterion for driving, to stop driving. It should be age with other parameters, which we'll discuss as we go on. Remember that when we're limiting driving for the driver, we might also be limiting driving for a non-driver member of the family. Let's take a couple, the husband's the driver or the main driver, and the wife has always been the side. Okay, if we take away the independence, so we stop the driver, the husband, from driving, the spouse also loses her freedom and her independence. And when you want to have this conversation, she may actually be an adversary to you and want to keep her husband driving even if he can no longer do so, because her independence would also be limited. Be aware of that, okay? If you're moving to a new community, and many of us do as we get older, think about 10 to 15 years. Does that community have access to other ways of getting around besides driving? If you can't drive in 10 to 15 years from now. If you're thinking of relying, the kids will do it, I'm moving near the kids. In 10 to 15 years, their situations will change too. So, I mean, so contemplate any community you're looking at. In the future, will this be advantageous to move to this place, wherever it is? For the most part, seniors 50 and 60 tend to be among the safest drivers. That changes rapidly at the late 60s, 70s, and 80s. There are more accidents with older drivers, and unfortunately, we talked about last time, resiliency. There is very little resiliency or a rebound, and most older drivers in accidents have long sustaining injuries, don't recuperate as well, and increased deaths. There are many decisions that affect you when you get behind the wheel. You have to coordinate your hands and your feet, and your brain has to get input from other things. You have to turn back and forth to see what's going on in lanes. Your ears have to hear. So there's a whole lot of things that are involved in driving. At the same time, you have to react to the information you're getting from your surroundings. Is a car next to you, pulling too close to you, whatever. So what are the factors along with age, or in addition to age, that might influence the ability to drive: arthritis, pain, decreased muscle strength, steering wheel, I can't grab it so well, I can't turn it so well. Can I put the pressure on the brakes? Can I turn to see what's coming here if I have arthritis in my shoulder and my neck? Diminished vision, cataracts, glaucoma, macular degeneration. Some of these things affect actual vision, some affect glare, some affect perceptions and depth perceptions. So that has an ability to affect your driving. Obviously, diminished cognitive deficits, memory impairments, inability to make quick judgments, all of that affects your ability to drive. Decreased reaction time and response, and medication. Specific medications will affect your driving, interactions between medications. And when I'm talking about medications, I'm not only talking about prescribed medications, I'm talking about vitamins, I am talking about over-the-counter information, I'm talking about herbals, I'm talking about anything that might interact. It behooves us, for many reasons, and we discussed this the last time, to take your list of medications to your local pharmacist and to see what interactions may occur with everything you're taking, prescription and over the counter. Also, if somebody says, if your doctor or your pharmacist does say this will affect driving, and driving is important to you, you might want to say to them, is there an alternative medication that I can use that accomplishes the same thing or a similar thing without causing any kind of impairment in driving. So what can we do when we realize we have some of these changes, we have some limitations? What are some of the things? Many of the things are common sense things, and we should do it all the time. But it becomes much more important as we have the deficits. So the first thing is to do a cheshbon hanefesh. Go and see, do I assume that I have any deficits? Take a refresher course as you get older. Actual driving instructors can say, look, I see that you're having problems with this, so that you might be able to resolve some of those problems. Believe it or not, call your motor vehicle bureau, whatever state you're in, and get the latest booklets. The government is constantly, and I don't know if this is true for Eretz Yisrael, but it definitely is true for America, putting in new signs, new lanes, changing directions of things that we didn't have when we took driver's ed 40 or 50 years ago. See what the latest is. So like in New York, they put bike lanes in Manhattan where you are parking now in the middle of the street. So when you're turning, you might go into a parked car as opposed to turning on. These are all things that you need to know in advance, and you can prepare. Wear seatbelts. That's a no-brainer. But as we get older, we have more injuries and more sustaining injuries. Seatbelts are sometimes very uncomfortable, especially if we have osteoarthritis. We start slumping over a little bit. It might cut the neck. It might feel uncomfortable. Many mechanics many mechanics can readjust the seatbelts to make it comfortable for you. There are products on the market that you can get to make the seatbelts comfortable for you. Make sure you have a comfortable fit, but use those seatbelts. Update your prescription glasses. Obviously, that's very important that you should see, but you should realize that glasses do get scratches. It decreases vision. You might need, if you have glare issues, glare films on glasses. Make sure that their vision is correct. Get bigger mirrors on your car, rear side mirrors and front mirrors. But practice driving with somebody in there, because the larger the mirror makes the object on your side look smaller or more far away. So you want to make sure that you're comfortable with the larger mirrors. If you have hearing aids, wear them. They're necessary for driving. You need to hear a car honking. You need to hear screeches. You need to hear all of that. Many of us automatically do, but if you have visual problems, drive less after dark. Many people have more difficulty in dark. Many people have more difficulty in dusk when the light is changing because your eyes haven't adjusted so quickly to opening or closing, and that goes for dawn too. So you can curtail driving at times when it becomes difficult for you. Increase following distance from the car in front of you. Again, reaction time may be slower as we grow older. So you need more time to react, and distance will give you that time. Minimize left turns if you feel that there is too much information that you need to do. Left turns are harder. It may pay somebody who's have difficulty integrating that information with a turn, whether another car is coming, what the speeds of the other cars are, when to make the turn or not, to go 3 or 4 blocks out of your way so you don't have to make that left turn. Signal and check the rear when changing lanes. Again, that should be done automatically, but people forget. If it's difficult because you have pain in your shoulder and neck to turn, and you have somebody else in the car, ask them to be your co-pilot. Ask them to check out, can I turn now? Do you see any cars coming? These are all ways to minimize some of the deficits that we have. Eliminate distractions within the vehicle. That means the radio, the CDs, whatever you have in there. Many people keep that on so that they have an interest, that they can keep awake. But again, as we grow older, we need all our concentration on all the input that we're getting regularly. Any distractions are just to distract from focusing on the actual driving. Some people say, well, I need the music on to keep awake. Well, the object is, don't drive if you're tired. Long trips, which we used to do without a problem, become much more difficult. Take frequent rests. Pull over to the side, close your eyes if you need to do so. Plan your route in advance. So if you find it difficult to use highways or large intersections, plan a route around those things and get an alternate route. It may take you longer, but it will get you there with more safety, with greater safety. If you have difficulty with strength and pain, talk to your doctor about going to a physical therapist to increase muscle strength and decrease pain. That may help increase your driving. You can talk about the physical therapist and say, these are the areas I'm having difficulty with driving. Can we work on those areas? Ensure excellent car maintenance. Clean your windshield, wiper blades, tires, fluids, headlights. Again, those are common sense things. But you know, smart cars and many features are available that can supplement our limitations as we get older. You can get contrast for windows so that it reduces glare for those of us who have issues with eyes. Steering wheel covers, some of them which have heat, will help the arthritis in the hands to grip the wheels better. Adjustable foot pedals, backup cameras, front and rear centers, adjustable seats, all of these will help limitations. But again, once you have them in, have somebody take you around, practice driving with them, because changes take us a little longer to get familiar with them. And there are occupational therapists and ophthalmologists who specialize in driving abilities, and they can help you with compensating for some of the difficulties that we may have with driving. When is the time to really decrease? What are the signs and symptoms to decrease or to stop driving altogether? One is recent changes in health. If you find you're having recent changes in health, then you have to discuss with your doctor, can I still drive? When do you think it would be time for me to resume driving? Are there any parameters where I should stop driving? When you notice that you're slower to react things, it takes about 20 actions, complex actions, to drive and to react to a dangerous situation where you have to react in a few seconds. So if you find that it takes you longer to integrate those complex changes, then it might be time to stop driving. Ask yourself if intersections bother you, because there's no time to watch what's going on. You neglect to start following traffic signs. You forgot the stop sign. You didn't see the yield sign, whatever it might be. You've noticed that you're getting an increase of driving tickets. not necessarily parking tickets, but driving tickets. 3 or more accidents in 18 months. You forget to locate familiar places. And the most important one is other people are reaching out to you and saying, Mom, Dad, for this sick, or maybe we should stop driving now. Maybe we have some concerns. I've noticed, when I'm in the car with you, this happened and this happened. That would be an indication to decrease or stop driving. So one of the hardest conversations we have is talking to somebody and saying to them, I want you to stop driving. I'm going to take away your independence, your freedom to go where you want, but you're dangerous on the road. How do we address somebody? I heard from Rav Belsky, Zichrono Livracha, who said, whenever you're having these conversations with people, remember, you have to maintain the chashivas of that individual. So first and foremost in your mind, remember that this person is a person who's chashiv. Right now he has some limitations, or she has some limitations and deficits. So just keep that in mind with the conversation. Prepare prior to the conversation alternatives to driving. Don't come in and say, essentially taking away your independence and you could try doing this or that. Have everything ready, prepared. If it means taking buses, get the bus pass ready, whatever it is. And I'll talk about some alternatives to driving in a few minutes. Think of who the best person to broach the problem, this issue with. Is it a child? Is it the son? It doesn't matter whether you're 50 or 60 years old, you're still your parent's child. Is it a spouse? Is it a peer, a sibling, somebody they respect? Who is the best person to approach this topic with? And then keep the conversation private. It should be done in a setting that is not tense. Do not be defensive. Respond with empathy. I understand this is very upsetting. It's upsetting to us too, but there are things that we can do to allow you to continue your freedom. We don't want to take that away. And keep the conversation private. Focus on facts. Don't make assumptions. Don't talk about everything that's going wrong with that person. Talk about the facts that are related to driving alone. What happens if the person wants to continue driving even though you think that that person is dangerous, or the person is dangerous on the road? Anything I'm going to suggest now requires halachic opinions, or guidance is a better word, because we're going to be talking about things that might have to do with emes and sheker, kibud of, that might have to do with gezel. So you really have to talk to a rav prior to doing any of these things, but there's some, take the keys away, lose them. Have the car taken to a mechanic who supposedly can't find the part for the car. If necessary, have the MD write a letter to the Motor Vehicle Bureau to take away the person's license. If there have been several accidents, call your insurance company to see if they're still maintaining insurance. They may have canceled the insurance. Then you talk to the person and say, well, we could lose the house now. It's not an easy situation. It's a very scary situation for the person who has to stop. Alternatives to driving, Access-a-Ride or your state's handicapped mobility services. In America, you're required to do that, to have handicapped services. Uber, or create an account with your local car service where they're paid monthly, so whoever is stopping doesn't have to worry about having money, just calls up that number, they will come and pick them up. Reduce fare for public transportation, carpooling. Each state, each country has alternatives. If there's a process like getting Access-a-Ride in New York, you have to fill out a whole lot of paperwork and whatever. Do that prior to talking to the person so it's available for them the next day. Again, you need a lot of kayach, a lot of patience. This is a very hard thing to discuss with anybody who has some limitations. Okay, what are outside safety issues? We described last time the inside issues in a house, so we're going to do it a little bit more on the outside. If you're redoing a home in any way, shape, or form, or you're looking for a new apartment or home to move closer to the kids, consider putting in a ramp in advance. However, you should never have to use it, but it's always a good thing to have if you're redoing something. There are portable ramps available. There are chairlifts. There are chairlifts and elevators that are available. Somet in Eretz Yisrael has approved certain Shabbos lifts and elevators that are available. And if you don't need the ramp, it's always good for baby carriages and bicycles. So it's always a good thing to have. When you're outside walking, carrying a little portable alarm this is one of them. They have a noise, somebody pulls you, you just pull that, it makes a lot of noise. And the point of the noise is that people see that there is an issue, whether it's fall or somebody's trying to take your pocketbook or attacking you, people look in your direction. Many of them have louder sounds than that, and some of them come with this little light. They're about $6, $7, and the light is for putting your key in the keyhole because that becomes much harder at night. So that's a good thing to carry around. One of the things we see a lot of people doing is walking while they're talking on the phone. Again, distractions become much more difficult as we get older. You might not see the break in the curb or the curbside. It's really prudent not to talk while you walk. If you need to talk to somebody on the outside, just stop in the corner, talk to them, put the phone away, and then continue walking. We've had a lot of falls from people who are doing both. We're going to talk later about masks. Masks can limit vision. It cuts off some of the eye. It cuts off some of your peripheral vision. We'll talk about the need to wear masks later on, but just realize when you're walking to be extra cautious if you are wearing a mask. Okay. Summer, we're here, sort of. We have sun and heat emergencies. Sun can cause a very quick state of dehydration and possible hospitalization for the elderly. In addition, the elderly are susceptible to various skin cancers. So before you go out, ensure that you have appropriate safety items at home. Sunscreens. This is a 30% one, but this is from New Zealand. They have a different measurement, but put sunscreens on. The places that you really have to worry about are arms, nose, ears, back of the neck. You can get one of these very fancy sun hats, which cover those areas, that covers the ears. And sun hats are always very good. They limit some of them. And then we have these nice little nifty sun shield glasses. They make glasses that go over regular glasses if you're wearing glasses. These protect your eyes from sun. And most importantly, oh, by the way, with the sunscreens, last year's sunscreens are no good. Throw them out. Get new ones every year. Fluids to prevent dehydration. It's very common for seniors to get dehydrated. One of the big causes of hospitalizations or emergency room admissions in the summer is dehydration. Signs and symptoms are flushed skin, headache, fatigue, dry mouth. Body temperature changes, heart rate changes, and increases dizziness, weakness, and confusion. It takes less than an hour for somebody to go from being hot to having real heat issues. Eventually, they can have critical issues of delirium and kidney failure. So drink. Keep water nearby. If you're walking, keep water with you. It doesn't matter if it's hot drink or cold drink. It doesn't matter what kind of fluids is, just drink. And of course, common sense, if it's too hot, don't go outside. Don't go outside peak times 12 to 3 when the heat is the hottest around. Okay. We're coming up with other seasons. The other big one is winter. Winter emergencies cause major issues, including falls, heart attack, and pneumonias. We talked last time about the various shots. Anybody who is 65 or over should get the pneumonia vaccines. Especially in light of COVID, you should get your flu and your pneumonia vaccines. Very, very important. Speak to your doctor about other vaccines that you might need. Ensure that you're wearing appropriate clothing for the weather. As we get older, we lose some of the good venous return in our extremities, in our fingers and our feet. Make sure you're wearing gloves. Make sure that your socks are on, that they're good socks, they're not wet. Prevent the frostbite. Ice is a major fall issue, even with waterproof boots, even with snow boots. Stay in as much as possible. If those of you who have a cane, use your cane, because the cane is an extra stability for the ice. One of the big problems we have with young seniors from the 50s up are shoveling snow. Everybody has heard that shoveling snow causes heart attacks. We should know why it does. First of all, shoveling snow is considered an extreme sport, an extreme activity. It raises your blood pressure, your heart rate, but at the same time that it does that, your heart is, the cold is constricting your veins. So your heart has to actually work 3 times as hard, because they're pushing blood through those veins back, but those are smaller, while you're needing more blood to raise the oxygen level. So the constant contrast between what you need and what the cold is doing causes the heart to work harder and eventually fail. Do not shovel snow if you are not used to extreme activities. If you have to shovel snow, you should talk to your doctor about how to appropriately do it. You'll notice throughout this that I'm saying to speak to your doctor. That's because everybody has different health care needs. And to make a blanket statement for everybody is wrong. You have to speak to your doctor, your healthcare practitioner, and discuss all of these activities: driving, COVID, safety issues. Those should be some of the things that are priority when you do speak to your doctor. Autumn safety. People worry about ice, but they forget that wet leaves are as slippery as ice. And we have plenty of falls in the fall due to the fact that people are not aware that leaves can be very, very slippery. Spring, I don't want to leave that out. It's allergy season, which can be confused with coughs and COVID and all the other respiratory issues. We are told about the benefits of exercise. We all like the exercise. Again, you have to speak to your healthcare practitioner about what appropriate exercises are for you. I want to say that if you have a healthcare practitioner that is not going to talk to you about your regular activities, then maybe you should try to get a different healthcare practitioner. You need somebody to really consult about, how do I go about my daily life? As we get older, you might need lower impact exercises. That would be walking, that would be bike riding, swimming. But again, before you have any kind of exercise program, you really should discuss it with your doctor. Build up gradually. Don't plan to go for a walk for a mile, because you have to walk back the mile. Start off slow, because it's back and forth, and then gradually increase. Okay. By now you're probably all COVID out. We're all COVID out. However, very few people are really talking about practical aspects of how to take care of seniors with COVID, or take care of ourselves to prevent COVID. We don't have a lot of answers. The virus has been around for 9 months, and we're still gathering data. We know that seniors have a higher risk than the rest of the population. We know that people with diseases and certain diseases have a higher risk than the rest of the population. What we do know is that we have to limit exposure as much as possible. That's the key here. You cannot prevent exposure, you have to limit it. There are no instantaneous cures to COVID. We know better how to treat it. The hospitals are treating it in a better way, but we really don't know everything about treatment of the disease. In addition to the disease itself, many seniors have registered as increasing anxiety and depression, needing more medication in those areas. In addition, the loneliness that they are experiencing is far greater than they had before. The anxiety is not only what's happening to me, who can help me, what can I do, am I going to get it? But it's also related to the bombardment of information, lack of information, rumors, opinions that are going on. The first thing I really suggest is turn off all those extra things, the radio, whatever you have that's giving you information about COVID. Anything real will take time to get to us. Secondly, we have to plan for any seniors that we're taking care of or for ourselves on these issues of depression and loneliness. The younger population is more attuned to using the computer and internet for communication. The older population at this point tends to like people better. So if we can't visit somebody, let's try. We'll talk about safe visiting in a minute. Winter is coming. Right now we can go outside on a patio or porch, a little garden, and see other people. When winter comes, we're going to be more isolated. Can we plan in advance for anyone we are caring for or for ourselves, what to do in the winter if the situation remains as it is now? What's happening with food and shopping if I can't go out? How do I do that? Those all require preparation. We can't assume that there are going to be major changes in the next couple of months. Hopefully it will be, but we don't know. We do know that there are several cases of people who have had COVID previously and have gotten second cases of COVID. Some have gotten milder cases, some have gotten more strict, more severe cases. We don't know whether having antibodies creates an immunity situation, a partial immunity, whether it goes down. We don't really have information on that. Please remember that being older is a significant risk factor. Added to that, anybody who is older and has disease has a greater risk factor. So the key here is to limit exposure as much as possible. So there are certain things we can do to prevent exposure or to decrease our exposure if we have it. The first one is hand washing. People talk about hand washing for 20 seconds. 20 seconds means soap water, rubbing between fingers, taking off rings, doing around there, and drying thoroughly. You consider singing happy birthday twice or counting to 20 in a second is 1, 2, 3, but you really need that 20 seconds. It's a combination of friction that kill bacteria and the soap that gets it off. Alcohol sanitizers are available. Hand washing is best. This is next best. There have been recalls on quite a few of the sanitizers. You have to check to see that the ones that you're getting are the safe ones to use. When you put the alcohol base on and you rub it in, you have to wait till it dries, which should take a couple of seconds before you touch anything. It needs to dry thoroughly. And masks. We need to wear masks. There are different kinds of masks out there. There are masks like this, which are the washable masks. Washable masks, every mask has to cover your mouth and your nose, okay? Washable masks should be washed when wet or at least weekly. They should be 3 layers thick at least. If you can see through it, you know the droplets go through it, so it's not effective. There are the disposable masks available that a lot of people are using. Disposable masks were made to dispose of. Many people are using them over and over again. If they get wet, please make sure you dispose of them. The clips here help keep the steam from going and fogging glasses for those of us who have it. Many of us, and you will see, will wear the mask to protect ourselves, and they may wear another mask over it. So if I'm going into a crowded store, this mask then becomes my dirty mask, and I can throw it afterwards and I have a clean mask. Also, there are these lovely masks. This one happens to be an N95 mask. Whoops, I have it on me. Which you can't get unless you're a healthcare practitioner, really. And these masks have valves. The problem with a valve mask is this. The valve mask is much more comfortable, but it is getting your air out of here, so it's not clogging, which is fine for me, but I am exposing anybody else. So if I am going to, and I'm just using mom and dad as an issue, if I am going to somebody who might be at risk and I am wearing this, I am keeping them at risk. So if I have this valve mask, I am going to put another one to prevent my droplets from going to that other person, or I'm not going to wear one with a valve. Okay, how do we take masks on and off? I see plenty of people who go like this. Well, first of all, now the mask is ineffective. Even if it's leaving your nose, it's ineffective. But what's happened here is by touching it this way, I've now put whatever viruses and bacteria on my hand. So I have to go to hand wash or sanitize my hands. It is now dry. When you're really taking a mask off, you should take it off that way. You can leave it hanging at your ear. It doesn't look that great, but then you can put it on again. But this way your hands are clean and you're not transmitting that virus or bacteria to another place. Social distancing is wonderful. 6 feet is preferable. 6 feet is the social distancing necessary for regular droplets to go. If somebody is coughing or sneezing, those droplets can travel up to 15 feet. So if somebody is sneezing, they have a mask, that will reduce the droplets from flowing out. Grandchildren. One of the things we were talking about were loneliness. Many of us miss our family. Yom Tov is coming. We want our families. Some of us had Pesach Seder by ourselves. We don't necessarily want to do that for Yamim Noraim or the Sukkot. So what do? First of all, be aware that grandchildren, little kids, can be asymptomatic or silent transmitters. Asymptomatic means that they have the disease. Silent transmitters mean that they're just giving it out. We don't know yet. We don't have facts. This is, again, something that is in theory. So what happens if you decide to have meals with your kids? The first thing is speak to your healthcare practitioner for advice regarding your own healthcare issues. Keep social distancing even at tables. If you have a table that's 10 feet, then you put the other on the other side of the 10 feet. Put up 2 tables, preferably eat outside, at least the droplets will spread out in the air. Keep the windows open so again that you have that airflow. Keep social distancing. You know, some of us even wonder if our grandkids know what we look like. But anyway, when you're eating, take your mask off only for eating, for putting food in your mouth. Cover it over. While you're chewing, serve all food plated. There shouldn't be a community bowl that you're taking it from because, again, you don't know hand washing, whatever. Little kids tend to hand wash and they think that they're washing Netilat Yadayim Negovasser, and that's hand washing. They have to be taught to clean their hands thoroughly with soap and water and then wash after using the bathroom or washing for hamotzi. Their hands should be essentially clean. They should know there are 2 kinds of washing. We've seen in many communities where Shigella was passed that way, which is an oral fecal disease that causes stomach issues because the kids were not washing for cleanliness before they washed for halacha. No kissing or hugging, preferably if the weather is good, to eat outside. Then after they leave, we'll Lysol it. Lysol spray, let the spray go down and kill whatever bacteria and some viruses. We don't know how effective it is against COVID. We know it is effective against flu, but we're hoping that it will reduce some of the COVID too. And afterwards, you're going to clean. And these are disposable cleaner. I just pulled out these, you know, I'm not giving anybody, any company, I have no stock in any company here. Use common sense and take precautions, even if other people say the disease is over. We don't know enough. Limit exposure. Again, get all your shots. There are new kinds of flu vaccines that were just approved by the FDA that may give somebody greater immunity. Speak to your doctor prior to getting the flu shot and see which type of flu shot is the best for you. With masks, we do know several things. We know that they are uncomfortable. Yes, they are. We know that many of us get exhausted or hot when wearing a mask because our oxygen intake is reduced. We know that there is a decrease in awareness of surroundings because it sometimes cuts off some of our peripheral vision. We know it causes rashes. So now you have to discover which risks are greater. Is the risk of wearing a mask, which is uncomfortable, can cause some reduction in your energy, rashes, greater than the risk of developing COVID? At this point, no. COVID is very, very severe risk for elderly people, and the others are uncomfortable. You wear your masks. You have to wear your masks. Stay away from large gatherings. We see more and more people are in large gatherings. Many people are not wearing masks. Masks limit your exposure. It doesn't prevent exposure. Cleaning and disinfecting for COVID. A really great, inexpensive cleaner, which has to be made daily because it doesn't last long, is 10% bleach solution and 90% water. You can put it in a spray bottle and spray around. It will stain your clothes. It kills viruses and bacteria. What are the areas you really have to clean well? Doorknobs, faucets, phones, light switches, computers. Washing cups, the handles of the washing cups are very, very full of bacteria because we're all touching it. Arms of chair, any frequently touch surfaces, air conditioner switches, fan switches. When you're going out shopping, which many people are doing, in addition to wearing masks, take disinfectant wipes, clean the shopping cart off thoroughly. Some of us wear gloves. Remember, the gloves become dirty so that you have to toss the gloves away, but you don't want to touch those shopping cart handles because you don't know who's touched them before. So those are really some of the things that we can do to prevent or limit exposure to COVID. You're not going to protect yourself without common sense. Don't go, if you're going invited to a simcha that you feel you must go early before everybody comes, wish a mazel tov and leave. Try to stay away, but if you have to, again, you must speak to your healthcare practitioner about what you can do for your specific situation. The Gemara in Baba Metzia brings down regarding the Avraham Zokain, brings a discussion that Avraham Avinu davened to Hashem that he should look different from Yitzchak because they were identical. So he prayed for aging. The Gemara then continues that Yaakov Avinu prayed for illness leading to death. He wanted to, up until that time, people sneezed or they had instantaneous deaths. He wanted time to prepare his children for his passing. When we discuss the limitations in aging, we should keep in mind something very interesting. The Avos felt that this is best for us. Many of us are very, very, we don't want to get older. We don't want to have the aches and the fetches and whatever. But maybe if we change our perspectives by ourselves and think about it, that this is what the Avos want, it make us a little bit more gracious about the aging process. If anyone has any issues they'd like to discuss, there is a chat. Please give the questions to, and we'll discuss it. I also gave Judy Rebbitzin-Steinig my permission to, if you have any issues that you need about a specific family matter regarding aging, I'll be happy to help you. She has my phone number and my contact information so that you can call anytime. I hope everybody stays healthy, and may we all be zoche to grow older in health. Ad meya ve'esrim shana, tizkulu shanim rabot, shana tova, and may we be zoche together for a gula shlema.
Thank you so much, Susan. Susan, I do have a couple of questions for you that I've received already. So I'm going to ask those, and if anybody else has any, please put it in the chat, and we will try to get to as many as possible. But as Susan had said, if you have any particular health issues or anything else, those must be brought to your family doctor. Those are not appropriate. We just want general questions now that would affect everybody. So 2 questions that have come up regarding going either for haircuts, going to the Scheitelmacher. Is it safe to actually sit in the chair if you are masked and the haircutter or Scheitelmacher or beautician is masked? Are those safe? Or
Safer, again, we are talking about limiting exposure. The bottom line is we don't know enough. And we have to keep that in mind. We don't know enough. Is it safer if you're both wearing masks? 100%. Was everybody who was in that room wearing masks? How long do the droplets last in the air? Is the air conditioning filter? All of these are parameters. I mean, do you go? If you're going to sit there for an hour, no. I mean, really. Letta Washington said, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't, because there's no clarity here. If we had clarity, I'd say 100% go. You are safer if you're both wearing it. I have no problems when you go to clean off a chair. I bring a little bag in my pocketbook of disinfecting wipes. I have in my pocketbook 3 little Ziploc bags, one with masks, one with disinfecting wipes, and one with gloves. So do I say, I'm sorry, but I'm cleaning this chair? Yeah, I do that. I do that wherever I'm going. Yes, am I a little strange? Yeah, but I know enough to know I don't know enough. So I'd rather be prepared. I can't give you a clear answer. I would preferably be the first person in the day in that room, if I can make my first early morning appointment. Those are the things that you can do, but I definitely want, and they should wear the mask appropriately. Again, too many people are wearing a mask like this. This doesn't help you. Droplets come out of the nose. Okay. Also, people are wearing face shields. Face shields only protect the eyes. They do not protect respiratory. So face shields are not, they're good for doctors and nurses who are doing injections and expect splashbacks, but that's it. I'm sorry.
Next question is having cleaning help in your house or workers in your house, if they're properly masked, or better, this is not a good time to do that.
Again, are we talking, these are very general questions. Are we talking about a home that has somebody who is at risk factor? Are we talking about somebody who's not at risk? Somebody who has been outside all the time and then coming home and having a cleaning lady, but they've been in stores, they've been everything. All of these are parameters. If you're talking about somebody who's isolated in the home and who's isolated because they're at high risk for a bunch of reasons, I wouldn't have anybody in the house. If you're talking about other people and they're properly masks, again, that's an individual decision. It's whether you want to take risks or not. We don't know. But definitely do not let anybody in your house who is not masked. And if they are coming in your house, then you should be masked at the same time. And then my little trusty bottle of Lysol, if you can get it, or any other company that has appropriate, you can look at the active ingredients. If they have the similar active ingredients, then spray the house afterwards.
So somebody actually just had a comment about, and I don't know if you know anything about it, the Sono mask that was invented by a Jewish doctor in Israel. It's
The $99 one? Yeah. I
that,
don't know. It hasn't been FDA approved.
Oh,
It seems to be, they have nanotechnology in it, I believe. Many of the masks are coming with silver and brass, I believe it in, to protect bacteria. Nothing has been tested against COVID. And if you look at all of them, and I don't know if that one is because I haven't seen it lately, it says it has not protected against, it has not been tested against COVID. So until you know whether it's protected against COVID or not,
we don't know.
Yeah.
Got it. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Is that correct? We'll wait another second or two. Otherwise, people can, if I receive any emails from anybody, I will forward them to Mrs. Mattel, and then we will get everybody that
again,
information.
I just want to say with that Sana thing, I haven't looked at it in a month. So I don't know if they tested it. I know they did some testing against some things. I haven't looked at it. So you see if it's tested against viruses the same size as COVID, then you can make a decision.
Oh, somebody also has a comment about the auto shoulder straps. They're saying most people don't realize that in all cars, they can be lowered, especially important as the older person is almost invariably put in the front passenger seat. So I guess that's just something we can check out privately with the mechanic or somebody else who knows about the safety factors.
You might also want to put a little seat there to raise yourself.
Oh, I love it. These are the suggestions. So somebody has a suggestion. Carry this. Thank you. This is wonderful. Carry a rain poncho and spread it over a chair at the doctor's office or the barber's. You know, so you can, and then you can just off it.
Excellent. Excellent. There was somebody who did that on a plane.
These are great ideas, and I think everybody will be benefiting. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for your suggestions. Most definitely thank you, Susan Mattel, for another wonderful session. I know I learned a lot. It got me thinking about all the different things we have to do for ourselves, for our loved ones, particularly what we're doing now with COVID. Is everybody, I don't know if everybody on the program was on last week when we had Rabbi Dr. Aaron Glott, who covered many things. Susan, you did it. You covered other pieces that he didn't cover. So I think we've had a very comprehensive idea of how to handle COVID, if anybody can handle COVID. But so we thank you so much. I just want to remind everybody that on Thursday, we will be having the honor of hearing from Yitz Tuchman, Esquire, who was an attorney in New York State for many years. Yitz, if any of you were tuned in a few weeks ago, Yitz and his wife, Shelley, were on the Spirit program on our Retire and Relocate program, talking about their lovely community in Hollywood, Florida. And now Yitz is going to provide a fascinating presentation on New York State law and halacha, which will be just a very fascinating experience, I'm sure, for everybody. So watch your emails for registration. Many people have already registered. I want to remind everybody, because questions keep coming in and requests for recording. As long as everybody has registered, and if you're watching the program, then for sure you registered, you will, with God's help, after this program, probably later this evening, you will be getting an email from me, from Steinig J, with the recording. This is what we do for every single program. You don't have to ask for it. It's lovely to get the emails, but you don't have to ask. It's going to come to you automatically. And even if you can't make a program, register anyway. We're not taking attendance. We know that there are people, Baruch Hashem, located now around the world that view the Spirit program. We have people all over the United States, and we thank our partner synagogues, 40 of them, to getting the word out. We have, many, many communities in Canada, many communities in Israel. Now we're having people in Australia, and we just had somebody from Belgium. So we welcome everybody. Tell your friends in other places, we're happy to have you. And if you can't make the program, because for the people in Australia, I think already it's past midnight now, you will have it when you wake up in the morning, and you'll be able to view it whenever you want. But we just need the registration. We don't take the attendance. So we welcome you whenever you're watching. And of course, ultimately, it will be in the archives. That sometimes takes a few weeks. I think we are about 2 or 3 weeks behind now. So we hope to get the rest of them archived. So that does take a bit of time. But everyone does get the recording and any materials that the speaker will give me. So just keep in mind to look for it, and you will have it there. Finally, as we are in the month of Elul, we're asking you that as you consider your tzedakah contributions, that you give to the OU Spirit program. Your generosity enables the Orthodox Union to continue providing quality programming at such a difficult time in all of our lives. The emails that you've been receiving have a donate button on the bottom that is specific for the Spirit program. So once again, everybody, have a great day. Have a good week till we see you with God's help on Thursday. Thank you so much, Susan, for a wonderful presentation. Everyone be safe and be healthy, and we'll see you later. Take care.